So guys, the crypto markets are trading sideways right now after pumping up quite significantly yesterday. Right now, the markets opened up, didn't look quite too hot. And right now, there's a lot of bullish sentiment in terms of the price action and where we're at in this cycle, liquidity injections, and a few other different things that we're going to be talking about today. Overall, though, if you're new to my channel, check out the rest of my content. I'm an intermediate trader. I keep you guys updated on the day-to-day events, price action on Bitcoin, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and overall exactly what you need to be aware of so that you can position yourself correctly. Last week we had a whole bunch of events with Jerome Powell speaking, and China and Trump and tariffs and a lot of other different things going into play, guys. And then after that we had the Easter holiday weekend with Good Friday, the markets closing on Thursday, and the markets pumped over the weekend. A lot of people are talking about alt season is already going to be happening based off of the price action that we've seen in previous cycles, and we've been talking about all that good stuff, guys. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into all the information, the charts, and exactly what you need to be aware of. So guys, the crypto markets are trading sideways after ripping up quite significantly in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin's currently sitting at around 87.5 after ripping up to around 88.4, which was quite significant. Ethereum as well starting to trade sideways and returned a lot of the gains after ripping up quite significantly to around that 1700 zone. Altcoins, guys, have just been following the price action around Ethereum, which is why you really need to be keeping up with the price action around Bitcoin and Ethereum. Right now, Bitcoin dominance is ripping up quite significantly. We covered this yesterday when we were seeing a little bit of a deviation, but it just blew past that resistance zone. Currently sitting at around 64.6%. Whenever this chart tops out, guys, this is whenever we're going to see liquidity fully shift into altcoins, which is why you need to be aware of Bitcoin dominance as well as USDT dominance. USDT dominance is starting to break down right now. Stablecoin, a lot of people allocate to. I think a lot of people are starting to reallocate into different positions. Bitcoin, as a result, we're starting to see USDT break down a little bit. Is this the full breakdown? We do not know. We still need to be keeping up with more news events in the price action. Right now, there's a lot of, bullish sentiment around the SEC, and pretty much some new heads that are going in, and talks about regulatory I guess relief and a lot of other different things for cryptocurrency, which is great. And a lot of people are talking about other stuff. Oh yeah, there was some weird stuff about Kanye West too. Overall, a lot of crazy information. But guys, right now everyone's calling for altcoin season based off of the price action that we're currently seeing and the previous zones that we saw in previous bull zones, and pretty much altcoin season that we saw in other cycles. Right now, everyone is pretty much comparing the price action that we've been seeing for Bitcoin as well as for multiple charts for altcoins, the total 2 chart, the total 3 chart, as well as overall how the US dollar is looking, and it's pretty much weakening. We're going to cover that with pretty much ILO and exactly what we're currently seeing. But right now, guys, everyone's calling for altcoin season, and the US markets, we're seeing a lot of deviations today when everything opened up. I saw a great post up from Income Sharks, a response to this, saying every time I see this, I see a green one followed 1 to 2 days later. Would be interesting to run a bot and see performance buying the red tweets and selling the green ones, which is so true. We usually see either the markets open up super red and then we start seeing a lot of green, or we see it open up green and then we slowly see a lot of the returns get pushed back at the end of the week. But we haven't seen this for the markets, and right now Crypto Missionel talks about the weakening of the dollar, actually, not ILO. ILO talked more about the price action around Bitcoin and seeing a little bit more of a return. But Crypto Missionel talks about exactly what we've been seeing for the US dollar and the weakening that is currently taking place. Overall, clear indication that we're continuing the weakening of the dollar. It broke through a strong support level, as you guys can see right here. My expectation is that we'll see CNH/USD, that's just the Canadian USD dollar, guys, bounce up in the coming weeks. Gold to come down and risk on assets to bounce back strongly, including ETH and Bitcoin. So Crypto Mission now, as well as a lot of people, are anticipating that we're about to see a correction for risk assets, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, and we're about to see everything shift in liquidity. But if you're not aware of exactly, the US dollar weakening and how it has a correlation to Bitcoin and risk assets, then you pretty much don't have, a clear understanding as to why this has any value to you. Have an understanding about this, guys, and pretty much variations of charts and how you can correlate it not only to the US markets but also to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins, as well as everything else. There's pretty much a circle of funnel of money, and if you're aware of this, you can pretty much just follow that liquidity and make a good amount of money. Right now, Benjamin Cohen's talking about Bitcoin dominance. He wants to make another video about it. Everyone's talking about Bitcoin dominance because it is a super strong indicator and chart letting you know exactly whenever liquidity is topped out for Bitcoin, and we're about to see everything pour back in for altcoins, which is why I share it on this YouTube channel every single day. I let you guys know where we're at with that chart and what you need to be aware of. But it's just a funny little chart letting you guys know the importance of Bitcoin dominance. Make sure you're following it and understand the correlation to altcoins that it has. ILO talks about exactly the price action that we're currently seeing with Bitcoin and how nobody is believing that Bitcoin can pretty much decouple from risk assets, and exactly what the price action that we're currently seeing. And people are super bullish whenever they see Bitcoin rip up, but at the end of the day, you need to understand the correlations and the deviations and how everything plays. But overall, it says nobody believing that Bitcoin would actually decouple from risk assets. Seems like the precise setup where it is most likely. Everyone's still waiting on the BART down, but what if currently looking very bullish against US equities? I really have no read on the short term because I think while Trump headlines can still dominate markets, but I think most would agree Bitcoin has held up much better than they thought it would since the chaos started. And this is so true. I think right now what's fueling a lot of the price action in the markets is the news around Trump, the tariffs and negotiations, and everything along those lines. If we have negative news, guys, the markets are going to be negative. If we have positive news, the markets are going to be positive. Today, I didn't even see too much of updates around that, so that has me a little skeptical, wondering exactly what's going on right there. So jumping back into it, I really have no read on the short term. We already read this, getting more into it. I still believe Bitcoin eventually rips higher and further establishes itself as an asset that more investors recognize as having a very important place in the world where the US is sabotaging itself and sovereign debts are at record highs with growth looking shaky. So overall right now, guys, a lot of people are talking about, ILO in this post is talking about exactly Bitcoin and pretty much how he believes, the decouple from risk assets, and how he, really believes that based off of exactly where we're at in the markets. But in the short term, he doesn't really understand exactly where we're going to be headed, but because of the uncertainty with Trump. And I truly agree with that. A lot of people agree with that. We've been sharing that on this channel. But overall, Alex Becker sums it all up for us, talking about exactly when is altcoin season going to be happening. Everyone's been talking about altcoin season and when it's going to happen, but this is a great straightforward post. He says, you're going to roll your eyes when I call for alt season for the 150th time, which that's what Alex Becker does. He trolls everyone and has fun. That's what you do whenever you're rich. But overall, he says, but one of these days, likely this year, which is very, very true, it's just going to start with no warning and you will miss the biggest alt run ever because you wanted lower after an already 70% oversold drawdown. Oof. And it's so true, guys. Right now, I've been holding my bag. If you look at my crypto portfolio, everything is down quite significantly, but I've actually been dollar cost averaging, getting a steal on a lot of these coins. The coins that I really believe in mainly revolved around AI gaming, infrastructure, RWA, and a little bit of meme coins as well. And with all that being said, these assets that I'm invested in, guys, are very, very risky assets, but these companies have been building, they have strong communities, and overall I really believe in exactly what they are building for Web3 and the future of Web3 technology and AI in general. So swiping everything to the side, guys, right now there's a lot of bullish price action, there's a lot of bullish sentiment based off of what we're currently seeing and where we're at in the cycle. There is a lot of indicators like Bitcoin dominance shooting up, letting us know where liquidity is shifting. But with all that being said, everyone's wondering, should they be buying altcoins? Should they be waiting for more deviations? This is where nobody knows what's happening. Alex Becker said it best. He's going to call for alt season for the 150th time. And it's so true, guys, because we do not know when it's going to happen. But when it happens, anyone that is exposed to risk assets and has already been playing the markets is going to be sitting quite nicely. And anyone that tries to jump into the market is going to have to buy back in at a higher valuation. Can we deviate much lower? Yes, we can. If we have bad news coming out from Trump and the markets, we don't see a deal in Q2, which we talked about with LEO trades. There's a lot of different things that could happen, guys, but we could also see, a deal go in. We could also see price action start to look quite nice. The regulatory relief for crypto, a lot of different things, guys, but this is where you got to keep up with the day-to-day, the price action on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything else in between so that you understand how to position yourself correctly. So if you're new to my channel, check out the rest of my content. I keep you guys updated on the day-to-day events, price action around Bitcoin, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and exactly what you need to do and how to position yourself. Right now, there's a lot of news events, so I'm keeping you guys updated with everything that's going on, but there's a lot of positive price action right now. So a lot of people are thinking, oh, altcoin season automatically is going to happen. While I want that to happen, we do not know if that's automatically going to happen. So you need to be keeping up with all this information, the news events, what's exactly going to be happening, and how it's going to affect your bag. And I'm going to keep you guys updated with all that information. So if you're new to the channel, drop me a comment, like, subscribe. Let me know where you're at on your journey. Let me know what you think of my content. Let me know what you think of my perspective. When do you think altcoin season is going to be happening? Do you think it's going to happen in the next month, at the end of the year, in 2026? I'm really, happy to hear everyone's perspective, as well as what altcoins you're buying and what you think and what you believe in. But overall, guys, I drop day-to-day content, so make sure you stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.